can unmute. Okay. Yes, my class, you can unmute, you can answer, you can ask, raise hand, no problems. Okay. But we have to follow certain norms, that is, class must start right on time, because to be successful in life, you do need to be very punctual. Okay, that is very important in life. Everywhere it will apply, because, for example, your bridge watch, when you start keeping bridge watch, your watch starts at 8 o'clock. You're supposed to be there about 10 to 15 minutes earlier to take over. Now, if you don't come there on time, why should other guy keep your watch? Hmm? Is he getting more salary for keeping your watch? He is not going to bother. A lot of your seniors have got sacked for reporting late. Every year, at least two, three, where most of them were on ME side, but they were sacked because, and one of them was sacked by chief engineer who had done course in TMI. He said, I told him once, your reporting is 8 o'clock. Second engineer says cadet is not reporting. Second time, third time, निकाल दो नहीं मांगता है finish. So always understand, you have to be on time. Okay, no more discussion on that. Now, I had asked you to go through this yesterday, correct? No, somebody respond, no problem, otherwise number one to
Yes,
respond.
sir.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Now, do one thing. Now, what is happening is, it sounds like PUBG. That number one, number four, do this, nothing. What you do is, you are allowed to change your identity. So, what you do is, you keep your first number like this, 2020 NS101. After that, leave a space, and put your nickname the way you are addressed normally by others, so that I will be able to address you by name rather than calling out numbers. Correct? Do it. Do it now. You are allowed to rename. So just make sure your roll number remains intact, space, and then you put whatever nickname or the way you want to be addressed. Very good. Dilshad is number one. Very good. Same way. Very nice. Oh, Madhav, you keep your rest of the number 2020 NS. Very good. So now what happened? No? We have got better interaction, because nobody likes to be called by number or something. You would like to be called by your name. And some people are even sensitive; they don't like to be called by surname. They say, "No, you call me by name only." Fine. Ships also, it differs. Ship to ship it differs. Some ships people call captain captain. Okay, they address him as the captain. Then some ship it might be sir, some ship it is something else, but that is how it starts. Okay, now we still 36th has come. 36, whosoever has come, you are late. Rename yourself the way everybody has put here. Your roll number, space, and then whatever name you want to be called as. 37,
Yes,
8.
sir.
No, no, not 37 as the roll number I'm calling. I'm just counting participants. It should be 41. Correct? First division has got 40, no? So two are missing. Okay. For latecomers, you are not allowed to join late. This is the last time. You have to be there at least 1 minute before, preferably 5 minutes before, so that you don't have tensions at last minute running around. Okay. So I had asked you to go through what I have given you here. Now don't worry about my introduction. That is unimportant. This is how we will be learning. Normally there are 16 semesters, but we try to finish in 12, 13 weeks normally. And then you have got time for revision, if some difficult task is there. But what you need is you must have the best of the best knowledge at your disposal. That means you refer to everything possible. Okay. Don't believe that it's a gospel truth because I told you. You make sure that you go through variety of sources, discuss among each other. Sometimes the difficulties will get solved there only. Sometimes you will realize there is a difficulty. So on. Why do you keep it open? Sorry, my wife left door open and then I get the disturbance from there. Okay, when you start following this e-learning program, you will find there are links and all given on the page. They will take you to other sites. One of the thing is what everybody needs own credit for doing things. So it is easier that I give you link to other site rather than copy it and paste it here. That way you also visit other site, you also find some change, different styles and all. Now, along with reading material, you're going to get some sort of questions and all. Something will be added up time to time. Just now, guidance notes and self assessments is more or less similar. Okay, some people call it guidance notes. Means they're the small questions. You should be able to answer mentally. Yes, what is this? Yes, I know it. This is it. Fine. That means you are understanding whatever is going on in the class. Then there will be some quizzes. Now, my way of putting quizzes is generally I don't try to put time pressure, but then we have to do sometimes the time pressure has to be there. But you will have generally more than enough of time to solve. Idea of quiz is not judging you. Idea is quiz that I know what I taught, whether you have understood it or not. That is the idea of quiz. Quiz is not to judge you. So don't take quizzes in a negative manner. But at the same time, don't take it in a casual way, just click anything for sake of clicking. It doesn't make any sense. Then it's better not to do it, no? Whatever you do, there should be sincerity. Now, IMU syllabus and the teaching plan is there. Keep following it up that okay, this is done, tick mark. Your class representative, anybody can do it, everybody can do it, no problem. If there is a doubt, raise queries, raise hand, ask again. Sometimes some sentence I say you may not understand it because there may be dual meaning, triple meaning, whatever it is. So get it cleared and don't lag behind, because if you lag behind, no, it goes too much, then it is difficult to catch up. Then there will be extra pressure on you to catch up this and plus keep up with whatever is happening. Now, this is, you all can see the screen, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, clearly?
Yes, sir.
You can read
Yes,
it?
sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
good.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I should have asked you earlier, actually. Okay. Okay, now this self-study notes. Okay, this is something much bigger. It is collection of things from all over. But just remember certain important thing. You are 18 plus as far as I go, independent man or a woman. Okay. So there is nothing like you need a teacher everywhere. Our method of self study is supplementary to your classroom learning. It is not only self study and you are going to study, it is supplementary. Then rest of the thing is little what you say, blah 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 blah, no, whatever, that is what we say. What you need is important, is okay, whatever you are using, publications, whatever, I will tell you where you can get some. Okay, read anything, see anything, no problems, but get the knowledge, that's all. It is not that I am important and I am going to give you everything. No, there are people better than me also, then you might understand from somebody else better. So you have to use the best resource. Then these are the standard things which makes it comfortable. Now this is one part I must point out. Normally what I notice, people take it too casually about pen, pencil, sharpeners, erasers, compass box, ruler, parallel ruler. That is where the problem starts normally. Because what you do in exams and all anywhere is a presentation. Presentation has to be neat and tidy. So you can't be drawing a line which you can't draw straight. Yes, there are some of you may be able to draw perfect circle and put a center also. Artists can do it. The top ones could do it. Picasso could do it. Put circle and put center. Straight line. Some people can draw perfectly straight line without rulers, but that doesn't mean everybody can do it. So let us be normal people. So keep these things with you. What happens is sometimes there's only one pencil, वो भी मरी हुई होती है, there's a little bit left and all. It's not right. These are the things which are essential tools for you. Calculators you will be given by college anyway. Pens, pencils. Now when you use the pens, try to use the bright blue ink, okay? Because that is more pleasant. Because when we correct papers and all, we realize what happens. Black becomes little too like light blue type, ink which can be seen easily, good contrast and all. It adds up maybe 1 or 2 marks in the end. Post-it notes, etc., etc., whatever it is, and try to use notebooks. Don't use loose papers. The reason being, what happens, loose papers you can misplace them around. Sometimes इधर डाल दिया, भूल गया, किधर गया, the unnecessary pressure on it, search for it. Normally what happen, it is in notebook somewhere, so you know where to search. So you open the notebook, you'll find a page. No, a notebook will become like collection of loose papers, but there will be no loose pages. Everything is there. So whatever you have done, you can track it back. On ships, we changed over long ago. We have a system now. Also, probably people use a rough paper, which they pull it out, do something, throw it. But it was stopped long back, and everybody has told use notebook, because no matter what happens, it is in that notebook. So you can go back and say, no, I did it that day. It may not be perfectly tidy thing, nothing, but it is there. Now, when you use laptops, tablets, smartphones, etc., uh, suggestion is get some eye protecting UV glasses for a computer or phone use. Okay, because your excessive exposure will be there. Because right now we are depending more and more on computers, even though things have changed. But better to do a smart investment in any one of those glasses which protect your eyes from this so-called radiation. Okay. Next is learn from different medias, because they are supposed to be jogging different parts of your brain and all. So experiment with it. Don't get too much into saying that I will not do it. This is my perfect. No, no. You are too young to decide what is most perfect thing for you. Too young. You should have liberty to change your mind. And that is what I am saying. Experiment. You will find what you like in there. Now you will make friends. अभी तक के friends were based on different criteria. Now you will make real friends, which will last you for whole life. Okay, this is something. Multiple subjects each day. It's because we have got a lot of people and I do it. That was all for cramming up, for exam. That one subject and I mug it up and next day I take it out, because I just keep it here and then take it out straight. That is okay if you are appearing for exam where marks are extremely important at that stage of life or that stage of whatever that issue is. But if you want it for a long term use, try to do multiple subjects. so that you learn to link it up again and again, and and short portions are easier to absorb than going long one. Try experiment all of it, huh? I'm not telling you that just follow blindly. Don't multitask. Now this is something, it may sound controversial, because what is multitasking as mentioned in this article is not doing so. Basically it is saying you stop your distraction, like you're watching WhatsApp here and chatting here and watching PUBG there at the same time you're studying. No, that is what it is talking about. Don't do it, because that is, in the end, we are forced to do it in real life. When we start our professional careers, you have to monitor so many things, so it happens. But right now, idea is focusing, so that you learn, absorb things faster. If you have got four things there, either dimag gaya, thoda udhar gaya, thoda udhar gaya, in the end what happens? You're what, looking at TV, you break your link. See, sometimes the flow is essential, so that flow shouldn't be broken. So don't do it. If you are using the phone for studies, then keep it only on that. Don't try to switch between and to check kiska message aaya kya, and you stop all the notifications, everything. So you will not be distracted. That is what it means here. Multitasking. Okay. Then this is the typical one. What you must be logging out. Everywhere you log out, so that you are peacefully doing what you are doing. Again, don't try to study long periods. Normally, everybody has got different period of attention. I will put average human attention span is about 15-20 minutes. After 15-20 minutes, stop, revise it in mind. What space repetition? Hmm? What is that space repetition? I don't get it. Don't worry, because this is something you have to read, if it is something dealing with it. Then summarize, compress, whatever it is. Okay, you all have to experiment with these different ideas which people, the experts, feel can help you. I am not expert in this. I have taken it from different sources. So you also go through it. Give it a try. That's all I will say. Give it a try. You will know what works well with you. Now, this is something interesting. Write down your worries, because people do go blank in exams. I have, last 5 years I have been in teaching and doing invigilation. I have seen students going blank. So that is the reason. Uh, yeah, anything that allows you to memorize it well and put it deep in your memory. There's any methods, okay? Because again, I'm not expert on this. I'm just collecting it so that you all can give it a try and find out what is better. And if we need some expert, then we'll have to search for expert. Because lots of guys do research, means in the West it is more, because I suppose they don't have to work for living. Then people can keep on doing research on various things, and then they come out with things. They can concentrate better there. Okay, test yourself frequently. Now here I again, okay, I had told you that I don't like to write, so I generally avoid writing. But testing yourself frequently is ask questions to each other. Or khana khate khate also you can revise something. This is the idea. Testing yourself doesn't mean you have to keep on writing, take the notebook, nothing. You're just recalling that your knowledge is coming out from the right source. It is recollection of things from memory, connection, everything, key information, loud and all. Again, I don't know, I have never done it. How good it is, I don't know. But go through this. I had told you to go through this earlier because it's a big article. Dehydration. Now here, remember this part. During class, don't drink water. You get break. You are adult. You can't be behaving like a small baby. The kindergarten and first primary school kid who needs to drink 2 sips of water every 10 minutes. Okay, you will have to drink it every hour. Take, you get a break. That time you drink water and do everything. Okay, so this is basically about self study, which you will be doing. Then these efficient note taking methods, I have not really touched it because I did see what it is, but not gone deeper in it because everybody has got own style. This is a link, that is where you will have some sort of information given the different styles of taking notes and all. Just see which one can be more helpful to you. Now, the method in physics may not be suitable for a method in, let's say, English class. So you work out yourself, whatever it is. Now, let us start with our syllabus. Okay. Now, we all have heard about the ship. Everybody says ship, a ship. Somebody calls it boat, somebody calls it something else. Everything is fine. What is a ship? Basically, it is a box like thing that is floating on water. It has to float. That we all agree. Ship has to float. That's the whole thing. And it has to be box like because you are going to carry things inside it. Whatever way you look at it. Okay. Even if you take a pleasure yacht means what? There is a thing put inside where people can go and live happily there for have some fun and all. But that means people have to go inside. No, it has to be something like a box. Shape of the box we are not discussing. We're talking only it has to be something like a box. And it is used to transport things, whether it's people or cargo, whatever it is. So it's some sort of waterborne vehicle. That is a ship. Remember this part very clearly that ship is some sort of a box that moves on water because that is the basic principle. We are not getting into passenger ship is like this and the cargo ship that will come later on. Right now, it is something that floats on water. Now, if I have paper like this, okay, this is a paper. If I put it on top of the water, will it float? Come on,
Yes,
some
sir.
answer.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Will,
sir.
will it float if I
Sir.
No,
just,
sir.
huh? No,
Yes, sir.
No,
It will
sir.
float.
correct. It
It
will
will
go
sink.
there. Once it absorbs water, it will sink.
Yes, sir. Eventually it will sink, sir.
So what happens is we need to make ship or a boat out of it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's make. I will make. Okay, this is something we used to do as kids, So I still remember this. So you fold it again one time, fold it again second time, then fold it back. Yes, I'm doing. Actually, I could have shown you in class better, but anyway, you all know it anyway. So I got something like this now. Now I'm going to open it and here it becomes my paper boat. Correct? It has become
Yes, sir.
sailing boat anyway. Okay, because the sailing boats have got this. So this is how one paper has become into something that will float till the time the paper get absorbs too much of water and loses shape. But now see what happened is we use paper, we gave it a shape, we gave it strength. That's why we could create a boat. Now here it is not closed from top, but a ship has to be closed from top because you don't want water to go in. Correct. This is a small thing what we do as kids, but what do we do with the ship? What ship needs? Watertight body, otherwise water will go inside and ship will sink. So watertight body. And then you know that Archimedes, the guy who ran Eureka. Those guys have created a lot of problems actually for you all. All those guys, mathematician, Euclid, all of them come from same era, same school. So you have to study it now. So he proved the principle that okay, it will displace the same amount of water, etc. And but when you do this, that principle actually applies to even the balloons and all, which are floating in the air, the lighter things and all, and displaces water and all. So the ship has to be watertight body, and that has to float. Means ship can't be that heavy that the water displaced by earth is too less than the weight of the ship. Then ship will never float. Now here we will go through one video. Okay, just it is basically for understanding something. Okay. Hmm.
You might wonder how a cargo ship weighing 250,000 tons can float in water, but a paperclip like this one sinks. Well, it has everything to do with buoyancy. Buoyancy is the ability of something to float in a liquid, and it has to do with two things. The first is density. Density is how heavy something is relative to how much space it takes up. For example, a bowling ball and a volleyball take up about the same amount of space. But the bowling ball is a lot heavier than the volleyball because a volleyball is full of air. So we can say that a bowling ball is a lot more dense than a volleyball. Usually, objects that are more dense than the liquid they are floating in will sink to the bottom. But that doesn't explain why large objects made of really dense materials, such as cargo ships, are able to float so easily. This brings up the second thing we need to understand. A really long time ago, a man named Archimedes figured out that every time you put something in water, it has to make room for itself. It does that by pushing aside the water as it gets in. We're going to use this bin of water to test it out. If an object like this volleyball is lighter than the amount of water it displaces, then it floats. This tends to happen with less dense objects. But if an object is heavier than the amount of water it displaces, or if it's really dense like this bowling ball, then it sinks to the bottom. So back to our cargo ship. Even though it's very heavy, it's also very large. And most of it is actually hollow, so it's not as dense as we think. The bottom of the ship is also designed to displace a lot of water. This means that the ship actually ends up being lighter than the amount of water it displaces. And that means it can float. You can try testing some objects yourself to see if they float in water. Make your predictions first though. The results might surprise you. I hope you have fun trying this out. And thanks for watching this episode of Things Explained.
Okay. Wait, how do I stop it? Okay, I think Dilshad could not see. It's on YouTube. If you search, you will get it on YouTube. Okay. Now you got general idea. Now the bowling ball, some of you may not be aware, but it's a heavy, solid rubber ball, hard rubber ball. And there is a game. You put 9 pins and all, and you run and you roll it and you throw the ball and at a distance. So it used to be
Okay.
very popular earlier days, 70s and 80s and 90s. Today I don't know. Okay, so that is very heavy ball. That is what it is. She was trying to show you the difference between the light and heavy. So no matter what happens, ship has to be lighter than the water it has It means, it displaces the water. The weight of the ship has to be less than the water it is displacing, otherwise she will sink. Up to this, everybody is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You are allowed to talk to each other if you have got any doubts. A small 2-3 minutes break. Okay. Hmm. This is the most important one actually. What happens is,
Sir,
huh?
sir,
Yes.
apart from the buoyancy, sir, the aerodynamical structure of the ship is also a reason or not?
No, that is not the reason for floating.
Yes, sir.
That is reason for speed and fuel efficiencies.
What
Okay.
is hydrodynamic dynamical?
That will come to that. Will come to that. Aram Singh. See, what happens is if we hurry, we may not get the right things. So we go step by step. We'll come to that. You know that hydrodynamics and all that is what you're going to learn in physics. Huh? So that is what I told you that other subjects are very important in first semester because they are going to build a base for you to understand the professional subjects. Yeah, you can re-log in. No problems, nothing. As far as I go, you are sincere. I am happy. Okay, you have to re-log in, re-log in. If you cheat yourself. You don't cheat me in any case. Abdullah, we don't need to take any notes. This is all available. Okay. Beyond this, if you have to take any notes, you think it is important. First, you go through that note taking methods and all, and then you find maybe you can just download it, highlight, use highlighters. You can do a lot of stuff, whatever you want. But stay relaxed. No need. I want you to concentrate here. That's all. If you need specific notes, anything later on, we will work on it. No problem. We'll get you. But I don't want you to, spend time half year writing that multitasking. You're writing down also, and you are just trying to listen to me. You will end up writing down everything what I am saying. You will become a stenographer. I don't want you to become stenographer. I want you to become captain. Okay. Let's go on because next one is basically a history. What happened in maritime world. Now once upon a time all continents were joined together, etc., and then they split and spread around, and something went to Australia. Then one continent clashed, and we got suddenly Himalayas and Tibet and all that part. After clashing, no. Ship doesn't have density.
Lassitia.
No, not density. We'll go to that. Right now, remember, if I take the weight of the ship, if I take weight of the ship, and the that weight is going to create the difference. If that weight is heavier than the water she can displace, she is going to sink. Like you saw those two balls. One was solid ball, heavy ball, and they were same size. So when you put it in water, it displays that much of volume. But heavier ball displaced, which was not enough to float, whereas the lighter ball, the weight was low. So when you put it in water, it floated. Okay, now there is a history of watercraft. What happened? The human beings were actually, when they started off, they were nomads and all going around. The continents shifted. Then there was ice age. Everything, whatever I know. Okay, people keep on telling us there was this, there was that, whatever it is. But there is a evidence that about 50,000 years ago, there was some sort of water transportation. It means people were less. Now people need human beings need water. So initially They were always fighting for water. Like fire was one. They needed fire. They fought with each other over fire, and then water is essential. Without water, you can't survive. So everybody tried to occupy areas around the lakes, rivers. So initially, when you did something in the rivers, then there is a question comes, "Arey yaar, there is some living animal inside. Why can't I catch it? Somebody must have tasted fish. So now, how do you get it there?" So different ideas came. It takes long time to evolve. Today we have got the knowledge which we have taken it from the past history. So we know that okay, there is air, it is floating. Now they spend time one by one, maybe 100 years passed before somebody learned to tie a knot, whatever it was. Human beings were intelligent, probably little more intelligent than other animals. That's why they came out with something or the other. So one way or the other, they created some sort of watercraft. Whether it was just a piece of log which was floating or some animal skin, when something they had to learn. No, miss. If you have to stitch, you need needle. So it took its own time. Then they realized that yes, we can use it for transporting things, because then slowly the trade started. Earlier, what happened? My tribe looked after ourselves only, nothing else. We hunted, we ate, whatever it was. Then we got into farming and all. But once it started, farming means what? You are getting food which you can store. Otherwise, what was available in winters? Nothing except the animals. If you couldn't hunt, you had no choice. So farming came in. Farming came in fine. There was a food stuff made. Now what happened? Extra exchange it. So that is where the trade started. Now trade started, so automatically earlier settlements were on the river banks or near lakes, somewhere where there was a fresh water. So, like suppose my tribe decides to do something, somehow we will transport it. Now another route was going over the land. Land is always treacherous, because first thing is it's not, they never had roads or anything. It was like climbing up, down, and like trekking. Then how much weight can you carry? Not much. So animals have to be used. Now when you take an animal with you, you have to feed that animal. Correct? Means whether you take a mule or anything, domesticated animals, you have to feed them. Again, there is a limitation how much they can carry. You have to look after them along with your cargo. So maritime transportation, one way or the other, started gaining. Then suddenly somebody realized, "Arey, if I do like this, I get more support. I don't have to keep on rowing it." So sails started. First sails were like tree branch. You tie it up and some wind pushed it. Because all the navigation was basically in rivers in the beginning, where there is not so much of bad weather. There is bad weather and all, depending on the craft, but not that much of bad weather like what you get at sea. So branches of the tree, then some animal hides, till they learn how to make cloth. When the cloth came in, then they started using cloth, and basically everybody was using. Later on, you're going to learn in meteorology what is the land breeze and sea breeze. So they were used to move on the waters. That's why you'll find all the ancient stuff. Your boat sizes are there, and you will find it on the rivers. Later on, things changed. They realized they have to go in the sea, and the initial crafts were a simple one. They couldn't survive the sea. So they like this part, the 3,000, 4,000 years before, sea is you can say before, that is BC. C is BC, before Christ. But what happens is, in today's world, no matter what happens, people get little sentimental. No, no, why should I call it BC? So somebody came with CE, but it means same thing. That is current epoch. So that time there was a lot of movement. Actually, in Indian history also you will find a lot of movement. It's, only thing is our history is not well proven because of lack of research, and it takes tone of religious tones. Like, so sometimes we just don't apply the logic and say that okay, this is the. Whereas what happened is, even though there is also similar tone there, but generally Mediterranean history has been maintained better. Means they have managed to prove it sort of. Others history exists, but the proofs are less. Okay, then when it started going to sea, you needed stronger ships. Now stronger ships, how do you make it? So you need wood, no more reed, no more things. Then you had to do carpentry. So carpentry means you cut the wood, whatever tools they use, they cut the wood and cut it properly and made it. But in the end, what happened? The trees also have got limitations on height. You don't have a tree which is 100 meters long. Joining two things of wood was more skill thing. It did not survive when the pressures come and it might break. So they got restricted to these wooden ship sizes to approximately, now this 500 to 1000 ton. Now this ton is the same one what we use in cricket, century, 100 cubic feet. Okay, that is how it was used. Now, okay, feet and all was different, but this is what we are measuring when we started using a unit called feet, which was a British unit. So the sizes were restricted to this based on what sorts of trees they had, what was the length of the planks, and how they could manage to join it. Because you imagine, there was no metal at some stage. Then the metal came in. Then they started using something like nails. Earlier, they were only wooden plugs, and to make a hole, it's not like today's world. You drill a hole and start it. So they got restricted there. Sizes were same, and these sizes lasted. You can say almost 4,500 years because there was no metal use. The metal they had not found, let's say, command on metals. Today, what happened? We use metals the way we like. We mix them up, create alloys. We do whatever we want. We make plates. We make wires, rods, whatever, which they couldn't do earlier. The metallurgical processes didn't exist. When metal age came and slowly, steadily we learned, then only metal ships came in. Initially, there was a lot of this thing, how can metal float? Archimedes and all that proved actually anything can float. Small pots were there. You will find that, the big biryani bartans hote hain na bade wale, shadi wale pots. They were also used once upon a time because those are the pictures in museums. The man is sitting inside and that is floating. So they knew it, but how to make bigger one? They couldn't do it. They had limitations. Only when just about say 150 years ago, just about 150, 170 years ago, first metal ships came with same restriction that the metal plate size is only this much. How do you join? So they started using rivets to join. Then the rivets used to leak. So there were additional problems. So it took its own time. That is what we have to understand, that it has taken its own time. It is not overnight thing. Then now this is some part discovery means this mid 1400 to early 19 when colonization processes started. Europeans started venturing out because weather is horrible in Europe. That is the reason they were forced to move out and search for better things. So in the bargain, mapping was done. They landed in places, selling ships. You did not know destination. Like Columbus, he did not know destination. He thought he was going somewhere, landed somewhere else, became famous. But it's the same story. From 1400 onwards, it is going on. And how they used to do, it is quite interesting. Like this Magellan and all, Captain Cook and all, they used to carry pairs of animals. Okay, if they needed, they could use it as food. If they find any island or any land or something, they used to land there and replenish their supplies by finding whatever was around. If they found human beings, they stole from them. If they did not find, they whatever, everything was natural. Fruits were there, whatever. Animals, if they found big animal, they killed it and they used the meat. But they also introduced these animals there. Like suppose if there was a pair of sheep, male and female, they were dropped on the island and they were doing mapping. So after 50 years, somebody visits it. When you drop, there were only two. After 50 years, you have thousands of them. So they got their food source, and they used to pass this knowledge only among themselves. Okay, if you go to this point, you should find pigs there. I have released there, like that. The knowledge was passed, but they were together, and over the years, they colonized most of the world. And colonization was there because Europe did not have anything, honestly speaking. Europe was actually quite poor in resources, weather was horrible. So they needed to get things from outside, and then they found that there were a lot of civilizations around the world who were naive, who did not know anything. Why did not know anything? Because they were quite happy with what they had. Like if you go to tropical country, why people say that these guys are lazy, but why should they work when they have got everything ready made? India and all were lands where we had proper monsoons, we had food growing, we were happy, we were quite happy in village. I got roof on head, I got food to eat, fine. Whereas Europeans had serious problems with weather and all, so they went around colonizing, and majority of colonization has happened in tropical belts. You will notice it, and then you go to the subtropics and all, where it is like barren land or very little population. So it's a different way of looking at it. Then their selling ship days got over. After they got it, they needed bigger ships. Then by that time, metallurgical processes improved. They started making bigger ships. But that was practically uh, 18th century when they started thinking. Why? Because first steam engine was there. Now you got an engine, but you don't have a ship. They tried to put steam engine on sailing boats. It didn't work. Why? Because you had to carry so much of coal to burn it, then you will get power. But they were "काय के लिए मैं करेगा? I am happy with my wind. Why should I carry so much of dead weight? और आग लगेगी तो you want wooden ship and you want to have a boiler there too and you want to burn coal there. No, no, बाबा ये बहुत हो गया. So it didn't work. But when we got the metal ships, then they found a use. Okay, we can put it in. Now we can put the steam engines inside. Initially, the first ships which were made, they had the side propellers, those flap wheels, like they were flapping like, and they were river crafts in USA. But you want to take it to sea. Now the problem comes. How will you propel it? You have got steam engine. Fine. Then somebody got idea of modern propeller, fan like thing. Very good. But if you take it out of my metal ship, which is watertight, it will leak. Water will leak. You will need a perfect thing. Then technology was in a primitive stage. So it took its own time. And then in mid-century, means 1850s, around that time, the first ships came powered by steam engines. And they, along with that, the side pedals were removed, along with the propeller behind. By I think around 1860 something, the ships were there, which were in primitive stage in a sense. Means uh, just imagine, means they did not have lights necessarily. They had steam engine working, ship was moving, but lights were issue. Electricity was not really well conquered. It was there, so it was very primitive. Then it kept on improving. Those they were the peak days of colonial days. After 1850 to say 1910, 20, the peak days. So they needed a lot of cargo to ship to Europe. and whatever they made in Europe, they dumped it here to get people to buy their goods. One way or the both ways, win-win situation. Now ships increase, but how much it increase? They had mentioned. I have seen riveted ships. Okay, so see, ships which were built in 1950 also had rivets. Then the welding process came. Then only ship sizes started moving little bigger and bigger over the period. Because first thing to carry coal for the steam, and that is where, by the way, in 1860 70, the engineers joined merchant fleet because engine was there. So from that time onward, there is always some sort of a disagreement between deck and engine, not new. Okay, and nowadays it's much lesser. It doesn't exist. Sometimes it used to be really bad. Okay, so over a period, shift changed. The propellers came, and if you really look at it, in my lifetime, I have seen big change. Ships were very much different design when I joined. Okay, when I joined, my first ship was built in 60s sometimes, and that was welded ship. But the ships which were built in 50s were with rivets. They were heavier, obviously, because there is overlap and all for riveting. So they were heavier ships. Then came these welded ships, and then in 1970s, things started changing with the trade demand. Because what happened in uh, late 30s and early 40s, there was World War. So everybody desperately needed ships to move the troops as well as to goods for troops and so on. They were nobody bothered much. Somehow just let's get over this. When it got over, you still had a big stockpile of the ships which were designed that time and made that time. So it took its own time. From they lasted. Now obviously you make something, it's going to last. In around around 1960s, then specialization started. Okay, we stopped there because I didn't realize we were racing too fast. Okay,